during the opening too. It's just I just want to get it over quick.
No, I'll just be quiet.
Because this is the 75th episode of SETI BIMCO and the 25th episode of Season 2, SETI BIMCO Part 2, The Revenge. And this month is what, George?
Spider Month. Spider Month does whatever.
And later this hour, we're going to watch the very first episode of the Spider-Man 1970s TV show and create revenge sequels for it, right?
I guess.
Okay. And we'll also answer that question. Did George Washington ever get revenge on that dentist who gave him wooden teeth?
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
You know that they weren't wooden teeth, right? I'm going to be that guy.
This is a long argument.
They're made of hippo ivory. So I think the wronged party there is less the dentist who, so I'm George Washington. I don't feel like flossing. Pull it on my teeth.
Okay.
Dentist is like, this guy didn't feel like taking care of his teeth. Let me make him a new one. I think the really aggrieved party is the fucking hippopotamus.
Yeah.
Because he had to surrender either his teeth or his tusks, or whatever the hell it is they have that produces ivory, so they can be carved into little man-sized nuggets for some president guy who couldn't be bothered taking care of his proper oral hygiene. It's ridiculous.
Well, we're going to return to this argument right after this song.
It's SETI BIMCO Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted. I'll find you, unless your name is Waldo, in which case I can never seem to find you.
It's the SETI BIMCO show. It's SETI BIMCO Part 2, The Revenge. Ooh, you know what the show's about.
Ooh.
And each week, before we get going, we pick a wild card question.
All right.
Because we're going to talk about this movie, Spider-Man. It's just called Spider-Man. It's his origin story. And after it's over, we're going to answer a random question that I didn't know because I just pulled it out of a hat.
What is it, Tim?
This week, oh my God, this has been in here. I've got 2 left.
I hope it's who has been bitten by a radioactive spider. I hope that's what it is.
No, I've been waiting for this one. This is.
All right.
So we're going to watch this movie and we're going to, at the end, improv, make it up. Who from this movie would most likely name their child Adolf Hitler?
Oh, I hate you.
You knew that one was in there, right?
No, of course not.
All right.
I would have resigned from the podcast in disgust. Now I'm having to write that name in my little notebook that I keep notes in. I'm disgusted.
And it's not George Washington. Well, who was it? Oh, it was Gay Hitler. Gay Hitler was a dentist, so in the 1930s, before the name was ruined.
Because Tim is just throwing out random word salad. Just to remind everybody, the recurring character on our podcast is the real-life man who had the unfortunate name of Gay Hitler, son of George Washington Hitler. He was a dentist in upstate New York, or was it Illinois? I forget.
Ohio.
In the 1800s. Ohio.
But he had nothing to do with George Washington's teeth that were made out of wood.
Or did he? Who knows? Or were made of hippo ivory, as I've already established.
Anyway, we'll get to that question. So do you have something?
I have a story.
You quit being angry at things, so.
Yeah, I'm no longer a person who is outraged. And today I'm going to share with you a story of wonder.
Okay.
A story of childlike wonder. So just as we were about to record, Tim, we're recording a little bit later than usual, folks. So if we get sleepy, you'll know why.
I'm not sleepy.
I was still like a minute or two after late because right as I'm about to record, there's a frantic knocking at my studio door.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I go, girlfriend, what is that? And she goes, you got to come see this. Our cat Zoe made a 6-inch long turd.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have
5
cats.
Did you measure it?
She did.
And then throw the ruler away?
Before coming to get me, and in her words, she put the ruler really close to it. And sure enough, in his litter box was a 6-inch long turd from a cat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
which
amazing.
In human terms is like, Tim, if you took like a shit that filled 5-gallon buckets.
It's not that big.
Yeah, it is. And I know normally you're like a 2-bucket guy when you're shits.
You're as bad as J. Jonah Jameson with his facts, which we'll get to, but...
Wait, not his facts. We're talking spoilers. He was the only character that made sense in this movie.
Okay, well... So 6... Did you take a picture and send it to Guinness or Ripley's or me?
Send it to the New York Post, hoping I'll write a delectable headline. Something like
Man
6-inch
who
turd
lives with
comes out
5
of
cats.
12-inch turd or something. I don't know. No, oh, here it is. Here's the headline. 6-inch cat shit comes out of 1-foot shit cat. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff. I should work for the Post, except for my politics are not what theirs are.
Then they'll find out you have 5 cats. They're like, wait, their averages are way too high. The chances of this happening.
Like, this guy's probably coaching a team of long shitting cats.
You know why that happened? Because that cat saw a video of Carl Crabtree's Vacuum Circus. I'm not going to explain that. But vacuum circuses, they scare cats. That's the cat's least favorite circus. The vacuum circus.
Is Carl Crabtree a real person or someone from the Hamilton verse? We see a lot of movies with
Arkansas.
people named. Yeah, that could be. That could definitely have been a character in any of the Boggy Creek movies. But
well, that's funny you said that because my wife and I were walking my dog, and if you listen to this show, you know that twice my dog has pooped out an upside down, like in the shape of an upside down chocolate ice cream cone, just a perfect poop, stood up like that. And she did it again while I was walking with my wife, and she's never seen this. And she was like, "Oh, look what he did! Look what she did! That's perfect. It's standing there. We should take a picture and everything." I'm like, "Yeah, she's done this like
old news,
3
wifey.
other times. Old news.
Big deal. Let me know when she poops out a hot dog in a bun."
Right, a big one. A big one. Never mind.
Tim, you have to explain the references. You can't drop these obscure references. All right.
Well, watch our
Big
episode.
Uns is the name of the alleged sausage company that Tim saw many references to in our recent-ish episode, Bread.
Have you been online? Have you been online today, George?
I
posted a picture of it and I tagged you.
No, I haven't. The only time I was online today was to stream Spider-Man #1.
Okay. Well, I have a new segment. Unless we want to talk about poop.
Let's hear your new segment.
Poop all day. My new segment is to look up revenge stories in the news of any time period, because I do like talking about the news, but I talk about the news and I record ahead and it's already old news.
That's right, it is.
So, did you see what I sent you, or do I have to read it?
Oh, you have to read it, absolutely.
A woman gets revenge on her husband who detailed all her sex excuses on a huge spreadsheet. So, stupid story. They probably blew it out of proportion. But he did make Was the spreadsheet publicly available to other people to peruse? Is that why? Well, now it is. That's her revenge. Because she posted it online. She posted it with the real reasons she didn't want to have sex certain nights. Oh, because he wrote like onions? She's watching her favorite show, Friends, doesn't want to have sex, which is a lame excuse because Friends is on 24 hours a day somewhere, right? Does she have to watch it? You stream it. Who the fuck? Yeah, you stream Friends. You don't wait till Friends is on. You just go on Hulu or wherever has Friends and you play it. So he had the spreadsheet. This is her. I got into bed after a good workout and was totally in the mood, but then he farted and Dutch ovened me. I can't. Is this real? I don't know. It's online. It's on the internet, so it's real. Where is this? I want to find this article. I sent it to you. Oh, okay. Yeah, there it is. All right. This is an updated. So anyway. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. I'm going to go on the record. I don't understand anyone who farts in front of their spouse. Well, farts are not sexy. No, but measuring 6-inch turds are. That is sexy. Because you could be like, hey, you know what else looks like a 6-inch turd? And then you end the segment. So, yeah. So there they are. I just thought the Friends one was a lame excuse because Friends is on everywhere. Soon you can get a chip in your head and you just watch Friends while Do you have that chip? While you're at work. No. I got that chip so you can watch Seinfeld all the time. Racist. What? Is it Seinfeld racist? Oh, the one comedian. What's his name? Kramer, yeah. Kramer. I guess both shows are pretty racist as they're set in New York City, and I don't think I've ever seen a person of color in either of them. True. Very true. Yeah. That last season of Friends, I think Ross was dating a black woman. Mm-hmm. That's about it. That's about it.
And I think there was one episode of Seinfeld where George puts on his glasses, and if you look very carefully in the frame, you can see maybe what looks like a black man walking across the street on the other side. But it's you have to kind of stop it and see it.
Are they like the glasses from them?
No, it's just a reflection. Actually, no, it's him. They're like the X-ray glasses you would get in the back of comics.
Okay.
And then he puts on and he looks at Kramer and goes, ooh la la. And that's the fun. And then there's a laugh track because we're laughing because it's like, oh, he saw Kramer naked. That's fun.
That's not fun.
And then, Tim, then Kramer got revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah. I'm doing a revenge story for an episode of Seinfeld.
Jesus.
Yeah. He waited till George went to sleep and he snuck into his room using the extra key he made.
I know.
And he stabbed him to death.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Dutch ovened him.
No. Kramer plays for keeps, my friend.
We need callbacks. Because we totally forgot about this story.
We have too many callbacks. You will make a passing reference to something that happened on this show 3 years ago, just with no explanation. And people listening are like, what's that now? What's he saying?
So there we have my first revenge story from the news.
Pretty good.
Woman posted it, and her real reasons were, Dutch ovened me. He was watching Spider-Man.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. I don't know.
I don't know. You got to help me out with this one.
Now, this is all yours. I'm letting you dig this all yourself.
Closed story. But, talking about Seinfeld, did you realize there's a character from Seinfeld in this Spider-Man movie? That's a good segue. Let's talk about Spider-Man. What? Yeah?
I was wondering that. I didn't check. There is the delivery man who looks a lot like George's father. Was that, in fact, George's father?
No.
No.
One of the henchmen is Uncle Leo from Seinfeld, if you remember that character. Yes. So.
Wait, the 3 random samurai henchmen?
Oh, no. There's 2 guys running around making sure that the accidents happen. And one of them...
All right, so we should talk about... So
Spider-Man.
As part of Spider Month,
or,
we did Spider-Man 1.
September month. I'm sticking with it.
That delivery.
What?
So the movie, this is the first one. This is where we learn how Peter gets his Peter Parker, of course, the Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, the Web of Spider-Man, all the Spider-Mans. It opens up. We actually see just a person on a bus, and you hear the voiceover of Tobey Maguire, and he's like, "No, that's not me." And then he cuts to another guy who's kind of eating a sandwich. He goes, "Oh, I would even take that guy." And then they cut outside, and you see Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, running alongside the bus. Everyone laughing at him. And he goes, "That's me." And then,
like Superman?
That's the joke. I watched the wrong. See what I did? I watched the wrong Spider-Man.
Gotcha. I knew what you were doing.
You didn't know. You were sitting there. People, you don't see this. Tim was scratching his head, looking around, go, "Whoa."
I got it.
So, for a little backstory, this is actually the 3rd time we've covered the territory of the Spider-Man TV series from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Tim and I did an episode a while ago. It was called it wasn't the Amityville. What was it? It was like the Amityville Horror, but not.
Yeah, it was like Mysterio, but not.
The Spooky House case. And I really liked it. I liked it so much I watched another episode of Spider-Man afterwards. And I was like, I don't understand why the show wasn't a bigger hit. Then you and John watched one called Wolfpack, which that was, I don't know, it didn't sound as good an episode.
It's also about mind control, same as the origin story.
It wasn't the one we saw first. That was also kind of mind control.
No, that was just trying to scare the lady and make her think a ghost was in her house by hiding speakers.
Yeah, but there were speakers hidden, but also wasn't there like a hallucination element?
Oh, yeah.
That's a mind control thing. It's like...
That's not mind control.
This episode, this is, I guess, the pilot of the TV show. It ran for 2 seasons, but very short seasons.
Yes.
Nicholas Hammond, with the most spectacular 70s hair, plays Peter Parker.
He was in
and
Sound of Music.
Not only just he was in Sound of Music. He was one of the Dinkelvoss kids, whatever the fuck their names were. And this gives us the origin of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. It's got some really interesting departures from what we all know to be the typical Spider-Man lore, but some of it was pretty well done. Some of this was cartoonishly awful.
Yes.
And then there is this, while Peter is dealing with his new spider powers and becoming a superhero, his first case that he becomes embroiled in is this guy. Oh man, what is his name? Mr. Byron.
Byron. Well,
He's
I have it, but you're getting ahead, so
Oh, we're just going to move this ahead. It's Byron.
It's Byron.
Who's a bit of a new age guru guy.
Edward Byron.
Edward Byron. And he's using mind control achieved via microwaves and computers.
Well, we don't know this yet. You're giving away all the secrets.
There's so much else to talk about. All right.
Yeah, but I have many things to talk about.
Okay. You drive this then.
Mr. Byron.
Uh-huh.
I have to drive this train?
Yeah.
Okay. Nicholas Hammond and David White played J. Jonah Jameson, who was the boss of Darren on Bewitched.
Different J. Jonah Jameson than the rest of the series. Michael
Pataki played Captain Barbera.
Yeah, say it like Hanna-Barbera.
He played the Klingon in The Trouble with Tribbles on Star Trek. Okay, those are my facts.
J. Jonah Jameson's second in command is Robbie Robertson, who is normally played as a distinguished older gentleman. He looks like he's the same age as Peter, and he's kind of a cool hip cat.
Yeah.
The guy's name was Hilly, the guy who played him. That was his first name.
Oh yeah, I looked him up because he was a comedian, right?
Yeah. Actually had a pretty good career, it looks like.
Len Lesser.
Aunt May's in this.
Oh yeah, sorry.
She just has a couple scenes where she's running up and down the stair yelling to Peter in his bedroom, and she makes him some food maybe. Little unsure what I get. Peter seems to be living with her, but then there's also this weird bit where
he's in the attic. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Yeah.
Len Lesser is the henchman who also played Uncle Leo. That's
pretty cool. I'm going to have to look that up again. And then Peter has... So, okay, I just want to get into this part.
Okay.
So typical typical Spider-Man story is Peter is a high school student who is observing some sort of science experiment at some lab, often tied in with one of his bad guys. He gets bitten by a radioactive spider, gets the powers, exploits the powers in a way to make some money, and then typically doesn't stop a burglar and his Uncle Ben gets killed. So this movie does a few things different, which I thought were actually kind of interesting and not bad. So Peter is a good deal older. He is a grad student.
Yep, he's in college.
He himself is working on a radiation experiment with a guy with blonde hair wearing a Captain America t-shirt.
I was going to say that.
Is this Captain America? And does that guy ever come back? I don't know, but he's Captain America, right?
I think his name was David.
I think I actually wrote it down. Yes, Dave, Captain America shirt, blonde.
But this does start out just to talk about the plot.
Oh yeah.
Before we even see Peter,
this is important.
Someone walks out of a bank and they gas the bank. They get in a car. They drive slowly, and they drive slowly into a wall and crash the car. Because
I want to emphasize to listeners how slowly they drive. This is clearly the people making this movie didn't have the budget to smash up a car.
No.
So I don't think this car hit the wall going slow enough that there wasn't going to be a scratch on it.
But all the people are always like, oh my God, he's trapped between the steering wheel and the
that's later
plush seats. But don't they all die? That's the point.
No, they don't die. They all go into comas.
Yeah, but they don't remember what happened anyway. It was very confusing.
Yeah, well, that's the only one of the people later is the only one not in a coma. He can't remember.
Yeah.
That's the professor guy.
Yep.
But it turns out that and the people who robbed this bank, get this, everybody, one of them was a doctor.
Yeah.
The other was a lawyer.
It was amazing.
And Captain Barbera, he's like, what, they don't make enough money? Yeah, what? And he kind of sounds like that. I'm not even doing a bad George voice. This guy really does talk like this. And because those are the two rich people jobs back in the 70s. That's all the money you can make.
And this film,
why did they do it? But
this is filmed in L.A., by the way. They can't fool us. It's supposed to be New York. But
I was actually going to opine. Parts of it are definitely New York.
They did go there, yes.
There's definitely there's a scene really filmed the Empire State Building. I was actually thinking it looked like San Diego. I'm not San Diego, San Francisco more to me. Peter's house, Aunt May's house in Queens. That looks like fucking San Francisco.
It does.
Well, yeah, so it's definitely, but yeah, it's with some well added in stuff for the time period. There is some actual shot on New York stuff, but yeah, it's definitely not really New York. all the cars, all
Yep.
the big boat-like 70s cars everywhere. This is so 70s,
with the button that lights your cigarette. You remember those?
Yep. This is actually why does this always come up?
Because I don't know if they make them anymore. Because if you went if you were in the car with like your kid friends at a certain point, and you were like, you saw one kid push it in, you're like, oh, he's gonna pull it out and burn one of us.
Hey.
You remember that game?
Tim, I think you had dangerous friends.
Like, who's he gonna go after? He just acted.
Did you ever get burned by that?
No, I don't think
I think
did.
with my friends, it was more like we were less inclined to stab somebody with it. So for those of you who are younger listeners, there would be a little thing like you maybe remember that's where like phone chargers used to plug in before USB ports.
That's what they have now.
It would you would push this thing in, it would light up a filament, it would pop out when it's ready, and you have this red hot glowing disc that you'd use to light cigarettes, or in Tim's case, burn your friends. How did that not come up when this was a podcast about traumatic school experiences?
This was younger. I was younger. We only did high school kids, like high school kids.
Even then we didn't. We did Spider-Man during that. And like he's a grad student.
So I think we see Peter in the Daily Bugle before he goes to the lab. I can't remember.
That's the first place we see him is at the Daily Bugle, which is another interesting thing. So he's already a grad student. He's already a photographer with a nice camera, and we meet him. He's in a meeting with J. Jonah Jameson and Robbie Robertson, trying to sell them photos, and they're like, "These are too artsy." Which
put a shirt on that woman. It's too artsy. What are these pictures?
I was gonna say the opposite. Get some tits in there. Is that funny, actually, Tim? Breasts can both make a photo too artsy or too not artsy. It all depends on the boob. If it's my boobs, not artsy.
He also had some really artsy photos of a 6-inch long cat turd in a litter box. They're like, what is this?
And they're like, is that a cat's turd? And Peter's like,
he's like, yes,
fucking know it, Jay
6
Jonah.
inches. Put this on the front page.
He's like, stop the presses. We're putting this on the front page. They take off the headline, Ford to City, drop dead. They put foot-long turd cat makes 6-inch cat turd.
Can you find a dog that poops out an upside-down ice cream cone shape?
Well, that's what he sends Peter on his first assignment.
Yep.
And then Peter, while doing that, Peter bites a spider and becomes Spider-Man.
Now we're cooking.
That's not true. So Spider-Man, it turns out he's doing this to make extra money.
$46, by the way. I want to say $46.
$46.
They don't let us forget this.
No, it's very important.
Come on, Jameson.
Well, he doesn't know the $46 yet, because then we go to his lab where he is a grad student working on an experiment with radiation with Steve Rogers, aka Captain America.
I called him David. I'm not sure.
It is Dave, but he looks just like in your mental image. If you haven't seen this, he's a blonde guy wearing a Captain America shirt. He's Captain America. And a delivery man comes with what is it? It's not transistors. They do transistors later.
That's what he wants. Oh,
is it? Is transistors?
They're doing an experiment. What are we up to? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're doing it. They work the irradiated spider, as opposed to Peter just being a kind of observer from high school. He's a grad student working with the effect of radiation on something.
Yeah, it's a glass full of blue juice, and they got to pour it in something.
Yeah, they don't really explain it, honestly.
Because
it just...
Yeah.
Because why?
Oh, yeah, they're doing all this stuff with all these machines, and a delivery man comes in.
Who I thought was George Costanza's dad, Jerry...
They didn't tell us his name, but his name was Hunky Crabtree. I looked it up.
We know who Tim's writing a story about.
No, it's just the delivery guy.
Hunky Crabtree, who looks like George Costanza's dad from Seinfeld.
But he wanted his $46, and they try to be funny. Peter takes what's that?
It's cash on delivery.
Peter tries to take it and says, "Well, I'll pay you later." And he takes it back and says, "No, I need the money now." And then Peter takes it back and he's like, "Well, I'll pay you tomorrow." And he takes it back and he says, "No, you want to get it? You come to my warehouse." And I'm really afraid of those machines. They're irradiating me. That was
and Tim's not making a joke. This man is deathly afraid of the lax radiation in this lab, which turns out to be right because of what happens immediately thereafter. So Peter needs $46 in order to get these transistors he needs. I did the math,
Poor.
Tim.
Yeah.
I did the old stick it in the computer to see what $46 would have been. This was recorded in 1978. That would have been $210.58 today.
For transistors.
For transistors.
He needs to
Nowadays, you could probably find transistors just on the sidewalk, just sitting there for free.
Yeah. Unless it's made of copper. Copper's worth money.
Oh, that's true. Maybe it was. So
Hunky Crabtree. He was very afraid of the radiation. Okay.
Oh, wait.
And later.
He doesn't get...
Later, he's...
Hunky Crabtree leaves.
Yeah.
Peter needs to get money. Steve Rogers leaves.
Yes.
And Peter walks out into the alleyway.
No, well, first...
Oh, no, he gets bit first.
First, he gets bit by that spider. That's the whole point of the scene.
Yeah, how do I forget that part? Like, the most key part. So, the spider radiation bit, like, they're doing their stuff. Like, Peter's like, what is that thing? What's that little glowing thing? And Steve is like, I don't fucking know. I'm too busy punching Nazis and smashing Hydra. And he's like, yeah, Captain America. But so a spider gets in, gets irradiated. It's pretty funny, the special effect. It's like a little yellow cartoony, like, wow, wow, wow.
A lot of spiders died while filming this.
Oh, so many. They got in trouble for that. Did you read about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the International House of Spiders, like, really got mad at them.
I think it's called the Arachnid Organization.
The Arachnid Organization?
Yes.
I think it's called the Brotherhood of Eight-Legged Beings. And it was like an octopus and spiders. And it was this one ant that was trying to fool everybody by wearing an extra couple of legs, and they were like too polite to say anything. And it was a pair of Siamese twins, or as we should say, conjoined twins.
And that spider in this film, George,
yeah,
it's dead now.
You can't prove that. We don't know how long spiders live.
And also, so he went out in the alleyway.
Well, he gets bit.
Yeah.
Steve leaves. Peter's putting on his coat, his awesome 70s coat over his awesome 70s sweater. Before we talk much further, I feel like we need to mention Peter's collar is outlandishly huge.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's insane, even by 70s standards. Like, you're thinking, like, oh, it's big. It's like, you don't know how big this thing is. Like, he could take flight. He looks like Spider-Man villain the Vulture. He puts it on, he gets bit. And a lot of times I feel like when you see the bite scene, they make a big deal of it. It's like, oh, like he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Flicks it off. The spider's still alive.
Well, he was tired of them. That's also why they kept dying. He kept eating them by accident.
Nicholas Hammond did?
Yes.
Spiders
are attracted to ham and butter sandwiches, and they're very popular in the 70s. Nicholas Hammond was eating ham and butter sandwiches. Like
that explains
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Call back to previous episode, Dr. Cook's Garden. I'm just every time I do this, man, they're all like, yow, I got to listen to that episode.
I don't care.
Fills into the Spider-Verse. He gets bit. He steps outside, and
is it one of those brainwashed people? I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't know that yet. The slowest car in the world is coming down the alleyway because we're not in New York City, really. And I didn't know what was going on. We're watching this. I'm like, why is this person very slowly chasing Peter? And he's like running. And like, well, no, he's walking briskly because he doesn't even have to run. And he gets into a dead end and the car just keeps coming towards him. Mm-hmm. And what's he going to do? So he just suddenly climbs up the wall.
Right. It was amazing.
The car
that was the best special effect crashes. In the movie.
It may have been, actually.
It may have been.
Actually, I did feel, surprisingly, I thought that there would be better climbing effects on the pilot movie, but the one episode we saw of the series definitely looked better.
Huh? Okay.
But he climbs up out of the way, which is pretty funny because he doesn't seem really amazed enough. Like,
no.
There's a similar scene in the comics where Peter Parker, after being bit, goes out into the street and a car comes whipping around the corner very fast.
Yes.
And he jumps out of the way, but because he's been transformed, he soars like 20 feet through the air and sticks to the wall. And he's like, what the fuck? And he goes to grab a pipe and he crushes the pipe in his hand.
Wow.
And it's a very succinct and it's really a good way of showing really quickly his powers. This one does it so different with him just slowly. And he doesn't do anything strong, which is...
The pipe that Peter crushed in the comic, it was aluminum.
It was just aluminum foil wrapped around. It was just a can. Just an empty beer can. So Peter climbs down. He sees the person who crashed the car very slowly. He starts taking photos for the newspaper.
Yeah, it doesn't help. He's hurt, right? He's a total...
Well, the guy's super hurt later, it turns out.
What do you call those people?
A vulture.
A vulture.
Yeah.
Just taking
He's
pictures.
like, it's like he chases Princess Di. She crashes in her and Dodi Al Fayed crash in a tunnel, and he stops and takes photos rather than
if he had been there, that's what he would have done.
The lorry or the Bobby or whatever the fuck you call it.
The ambulance.
So then the cops come because I guess he did call the cops.
Lieutenant Hannah.
No, wrong name. Barbera.
Barbera.
Who did Hanna Barbera?
Lieutenant Barbera.
I was gonna make the joke that his first name was Hannah, or his wife was, or something.
Maybe it was.
Who, like 70s tastic, outrageously large cigar. He really talks like this, and he says a lot of stupid stuff, and he's like, and
you're that photographer.
Well,
why are you
that's
here?
his first time meeting Peter, but he calls him college boy. And he's immediately suspecting of Peter because he's like, where's the money this guy had? And Peter's like, well, what money?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, weren't you here? Weren't you the one who called this in? And Peter's like, I wasn't here at this point. Peter is so fucking suspicious and he's so poor. Like, anyone with half a brain should be like, oh, you're fucking Spider-Man, aren't you? Like, you're literally
he
Spider-Man.
wasn't yet, though. He wasn't yet.
Yeah, at this point, he's not. But, like, there's scenes to come where it's like, come on, people. And so he's immediately suspicious because, like, I would be, if I'm a cop. If I'm a cop and I go to a car accident and there's a guy who calls it in, I know for some reason this guy robbed a bank. And I'm like, oh, you called, you're taking photos now, and the money's gone. Nobody else came here? Because the cops didn't knew that. Like, obviously you stole the money. Let me arrest you. But he doesn't do that.
Peter's like, I don't have any Playboy magazines. Honest, officer.
No,
I don't have any drugs.
I would look at stuff. That stuff makes you tingly. Not like my spider sense.
I don't take pictures of the mayor dressing his pig up like a teenager.
All right.
I don't take a picture of the mayor eating pizza with spoons. So
Tim's mind, everybody. So
this is
Peter
interesting. This is interesting. Oh, okay. What?
What's interesting? Go on. I want to hear.
When he goes home, he has a dream, just like Tobey Maguire did in the movie. Like it's not the same type of dream, but I'm surprised they did this dream thing because that never happened in the comic.
Maybe it did.
No.
I feel like I can actually picture a Steve Ditko drawing of Peter in a bed, like going like this, and like webs and like eyes.
I can't believe I forgot it if that's what happened.
Maybe it didn't, or maybe it happened somewhere. Yeah, he has a weird spider dream, and then he wakes up with a manic grin on his face, and he's like, I got powers from being bit by that spider. And that's how he comes to grips with it.
He wakes up now, and all the spiders, all these flies that used to be in the attic are gone.
And his belly is
very
really full. He's like, what?
We got to point out, he lives in this attic. And when they show the house from the outside, it's like a mansion. And on the inside, it's like a mansion. It's got hardwood walls, nicely carved banister. It's humongous. And anyway.
So this is Aunt May's house. And it is there was a line that Dave, his friend who looks like Steve Rogers, made some comment about how you get the package delivered to your aunt who lives in Queens. So I don't know that Peter lives there, but he definitely seems to in this episode.
He does.
The episode we saw later, he doesn't seem to live with Aunt May. Although maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's unhoused at that point.
He could
living
be
on the streets. Yeah.
But
another big departure, and this one is the one that's kind of the most head scratchy. There's no Uncle Ben.
No Uncle Ben.
So Peter's entire reason for becoming Spider-Man is it's like, so, you know, in the movies and the cartoons, the comics, it's always he becomes like a wrestler or something to make money. His manager or his promoter is a crook and isn't paying him enough. A guy steals him. He's like, I'm not going to help you. And then the same guy shoots his uncle later. And Peter learns, always help. This one, Peter then immediately goes to J. Jonah Jameson to sell him photos of I forgot, because then Peter's out experimenting, walking up walls.
I was gonna say, on the house he lives in, he's walking on the wall in the daylight.
He does do that, but then he goes into the city and there's like a big yellow wall and he crawls up the wall.
Yes,
that was pretty stupid in the house he lives in. He's just walking around in his socks.
He's climbing down the
your neighbors don't see that,
the water spout.
Yeah, that was funny. And then like the rain came and washed the spiders out.
Yeah.
But then up came the sun and it dried up all the rain, and then Spider-Man went back in again.
Yep.
So then he's in the city experimenting. He crawls up a wall.
Yep.
And then we get his first spider sense.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Looked different than the episode where it was like, in the episode we saw his eyes flashed and it was like, blah. But in the comics and the movies, spider sense works to warn him of personal danger.
Yes.
In this show, it just...
Random.
it tells him like anything that needs to advance the plot forward.
Yes.
So blocks away, he sees a woman getting her purse stolen by some dude.
Yep.
And she's like, "Stop, thief!" She has got a really, really quite a voice.
Yes.
And she's chasing this guy through an alleyway, and the guy's running. And Peter yells something, and he scurries down the wall. And the guy is so dumbfounded at seeing Peter
man on the wall.
Oh, what he yells, I wrote it down. "Hey, hold it." That's his big
what
line.
he says?
And the guy, "Hey, hold it." The guy sees Peter on the wall. Is like, "Boo!" Peter scurries down the wall. A cop runs up, catches the guy.
A whole bunch of people come in that alleyway.
All bunch of people are there. They all see Spider-Man crawl down the wall. Well, Peter Parker, he's not Spider-Man yet. Yeah. Drop behind a trash bag or something.
But the cop doesn't.
The cop doesn't. Nobody thinks to walk over like 20 feet and be like, "Yeah, here's the guy we just saw crawl up the wall." This gets reported in the news. And then Peter is trying to sell pictures of the car crash to J. Jonah Jameson.
Yep.
The car crash that he was part of.
Look at all this blood.
He's like, "Look, it's a guy asleep at the wheel."
The brains are hanging out.
And J. Jonah Jameson, rightly so, is like, "This sucks. I can't use this. There's nothing in here."
Are you kidding? That would sell.
Just a guy asleep
with his
at a wheel?
Brains hanging out, crushed between the wheels.
But he wasn't. His brain wasn't.
Yeah, it was, George. Here's where Jameson is stupid. And they do tell him about the man who crawled on the wall. And JJ's like, "What do you look like? Spiders have lots of legs." That burned me up. Spiders have 8 legs. I couldn't stand it. He was like,
I thought you would get mad at that. That he said
spiders have lots of legs. Peter.
I'm watching. I'm like, I bet you Tim's gonna be pissed that he just says spiders have lots of legs. Because that to me speaks to the fact that J. Jonah Jameson just looks at a spider as like, "I don't know how many legs that thing's got, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot.
It's got a lot.
Could be 4, could be 500. I don't know. I'm not going to count. And I've never heard how many legs a spider has."
Whenever he sees a cat turd, he's like, "I don't know how many inches that is. I'll bet it's about 6."
Whenever he sees an ice cream cone, he's like, "I bet that's a piece of dog shit."
Get a ruler, Peter. Get a ruler, Peter. I can't do JJ's voice. He had a problem with numbers.
Don't even bother learning because this guy will be gone next episode.
He had a problem with numbers. He didn't believe
he
didn't think the number 14 existed. He had like 15 ulcers, but he only knew of 13 of them. And he had 14 toes, but he only told people he had 13 toes. It's a problem with J. Jonah and numbers.
It is also the problem he has so many toes. That's also a problem. J. Jonah Jameson has a lot of problems. So
I don't know how many toes those are. I'd say it's
I don't know. Got a lot of toes.
13 of them. A lot of toes.
So there's this whole scene where Peter is trying to tell them that he was witness to this Spider-Man person people are talking about. And like reporters should, J. Jonah Jameson and Robbie Robertson are like, "Well, what was he dressed like?" Yeah. He's like, "Dressed?" It's like they're just asking all these questions. And it sounds very much like Peter is like a sad loser who's making up a story about seeing his Spider-Man in order to impress him. So Peter gets the idea. I'm not going to go.
Robbie Robinson was like, "Does it shoot spiders' webs out of its butt or out of its hands?"
Does he really say that?
Yeah, he's like, "Does it shoot webs out of its butt like a real spider would do, or out of its hands like someone would make up in a comic book?"
I didn't catch that part. I don't know if it's a joke or not, folks. Maybe it could. That could have been an actual line.
Come on, George. Of course, that's a joke.
I don't know. Okay. I mean, I feel like
Did you fall asleep again and miss
No, it was. Let me tell you, buddy. It was a day.
They ate Biggins sausage rolls.
The line about people asking Spider-Man if he shoots webs out of his butt has happened in a couple of the MCU movies, and I think it happens in the Tobey Maguire movie
too. Because that's what a real spider does.
Exactly. And, one of these days Marvel will stop being so priggish and release the Spider-Man we want to see, who when he's in the middle of a fight with Dr. Octopus or the Lizard or whatever, he drops trow and liquid shits a big web on her face.
Whoa.
Yeah, you heard it.
This is a family show.
No, it's not. So then Peter gets this inspiration. Rather than use his money in a show business career, appearing on TV or wrestling like he has done in other iterations, he makes in one afternoon a very impressive Spider-Man costume.
Because he needs $46, by the way.
Because he needs how much money did he spend on that costume?
That's what I was thinking.
Just shit hanging around his house?
And he made web fluid. And I'm like, you can't afford
He makes the web fluid a little bit later, but yeah. Yeah, that's also a good point.
Because he said that. Did you notice he said that? When they asked him what he looked like, they're like, "I don't know. He's got a mask. He shoots webs." I'm like, "What? You're telling them you're going to make webs fluid already?"
He was digging a hole for himself. It was so ridiculous.
He's 10 feet tall.
Makes this costume.
He's got 5 arms. He's got it.
And then Peter, the photographer who is known as too artistic, just does a typical Peter move, sets up his camera on like a fucking stand, sets it to auto take photos, and takes a few photos of him in his new costume on a wall.
Right.
They're so up close that there's no way to tell it's a fucking wall. It could just have turned the camera sideways and pictured the guy on the floor.
He's trying to get his nipples in there.
He keeps rubbing his nipples. We should mention that. Like, I don't know why it's maybe like a weird acting choice, Nicholas Hammond.
Yeah.
Anytime when either Peter or Spider-Man is not actively engaged in conversation or action, he's standing there luxuriously stroking his own nipples.
I know.
Right there, that's a clue. They're the same guy. You're like, I know a guy who rubs his nipples just like that, Spider-Man.
He did that in Sound of Music, Nicholas Hammond.
He did? Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That's why the Nazis
Spider-Man
wanted
did that
to
in Avengers, too. He's always rubbing. I think this is a thing. Okay.
Because he escaped.
He takes the photos.
He escaped the Nazis in that movie and Adolf Hitler. Oh.
And that's how he met his partner, Dave, a.k.a. Steve Rogers.
I'm thinking about
It all makes sense. Oh, yeah.
My question. All right.
Um.
So there's another accident, I think, right?
Yeah, he tries to sell the photos to J. Jonah Jameson, right? That happens first?
I think he does get some pictures.
Yeah, and he won't buy them for some reason because they're just a dude.
Come on, JJ, I need $46.
I need $46. I spent
like another $30 making this costume. J. Jonah Jameson.
Then there's another accident.
You made a time
that's what happens.
Out of a DeLorean?
Tim.
I can't do it.
Wow.
I tried.
Wow, you added another voice to your repertoire.
Yeah, I did.
So, Tim, I remember what happened, though.
What's that?
He's trying to sell the photos, and then they hear, another super slow motion car wreck happened after somebody robbed a bank. And they're like, send Goo Goo Doo Goo or whatever. And
get out there,
Robbie Robertson's like, he's not there. Let's send Parker. And he's like, okay. So Parker gets his first fucking job at working for the Daily Planet. No, shit, Bugle. He shows up,
and it's
takes photos.
Poor guy's dying. He's taking pictures.
Guy's dying this time. He's taking photos. Captain Barbera is there again, like, that's pretty weird.
You're here again, Peter.
You're here again. That's I'd call that pretty suspicious. He's like, gosh, Captain Barbera, I guess you might. And Captain Barbera goes off to, like, I don't know, cough up a lung because he's smoking a giant cigar. And Peter gets up close. He's like, this guy's in rough shape. And it's a cop or some dude. He's not even a cop.
Ambulance.
I guess he's like an EMT.
From the
he's
Snyder Ambulance Company. I wrote it down. Like, famous
Zack
New
Snyder.
York. What's that?
Zack Snyder. It's the Snyder cut.
That's what it's called. He says, go get him a blanket. And he runs away as if suddenly Peter has...
Well, the guy is supposedly dying behind the litter. And they're like, we can't get him out until this truck gets. So he's like, he's not going to make it that long. I have to mention something. That's my Peter voice. I have to mention something.
Mister, he's not going to make it.
When Peter was describing the powers Spider-Man has to J. Jonah Jameson and Robbie Robertson,
I know.
He talks about how strong he is.
1,000 times stronger.
1,000 times stronger than a person. But when did we see Peter do anything strong?
Just this once. He broke.
Yeah, but prior to that point, he really has no idea.
I know.
Like, that's glossed over. Like, you could have had a very easy scene of Peter like picking up the front end of a car and it's on a hydraulic liftoff camera or something, but we never get. He's just like, I'm thousands of times stronger than you.
Maybe off screen he got very angry at Uncle Ben and choked him to death
and just murdered him. That's what happens.
That's what happened.
He punched Uncle Ben so hard that he broke into rice. See what I did there?
Yes.
So yeah, Peter tells the EMT guy to get to get a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And while the guy's not looking, Peter just rips the steering column out. The guy's like, what happened? He's like, I don't know, it just came out. So I guess the guy lives.
Yeah. Because Barbera's like, pretty suspicious, Peter. Got that steering wheel.
Pretty suspicious.
I can't do his voice. It's kind of suspicious, Peter. Like, why
I don't know what happened to my
voice?
All I can... it's like this. You got to do it's like it's me, Captain Barbera. I like marinara.
Captain Barbera, you're telling me you made a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Great Scott!
I don't know why it's in my head.
I don't either.
So this is where we finally see a shady character who's controlling people's minds.
Yeah, we're pretty far in. Yeah,
and he
shows up.
He's big, and I remember as a kid thinking, well, why can't you just call him Kingpin? I think he's supposed to be King. He's not that big, but he's big.
Oh, actually, let's address that. So, a funny thing about this show, from what the limited amount I've seen, is that the villains always tend to have very comic booky plots. Let's just say what the plot is now. He's a new age guru who is secretly hypnotizing people via buttons,
Noah Tyler,
and microwaves and stuff. And it's like a whole tech thing, and he can control them. Like, for instance, the guy that Peter saves in this instance, he turns out he's a college professor. He's the only person who's not in a coma.
Yeah.
Peter meets his daughter, who's like this. There's a lot of shit we should gloss over because it gets very long.
No, well, the Noah Tyler is the guru, and he does meet this man's daughter.
That's the actor's name? You know him?
No, Noah Tyler.
It's Byron.
Sorry, it's Byron. Noah Tyler is one of the characters where you hear him go, destroy, and that means they go and like...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so it's actually a pretty big coincidence that, like, Peter... What, go on?
Well, if we want to get through the plot, this guy that isn't in a coma, they tell him through mind control, destroy, and he's going to jump out the hospital window. And Peter happens to show up, and he's like, oh, my God. And so does his daughter. His daughter's name is...
Well, Peter had met the daughter, at the hospital.
Judy.
And they were going somewhere.
Judy, that's her name.
Judy Jetson.
Yes. So here we finally see Spider-Man in action. He crawls down the wall, It's
his public debut. Like, this is the first time people see him in costume.
Picks up Noah Tyler, and instead of putting him in the room, he carries him to the roof.
And then leaves him there.
Yes.
And does like a hand gesture, like, all right, you stay, and then runs off.
Because the police show up, So
and we learn Noah Tyler doesn't remember what happened. Nope. He's like, you know more than I do, Captain Barbera. And he said, oh, picnic basket. and
he tried. Does he try to sell these pictures?
Captain Barbera notices that Peter is the guy who took photos of Spider-Man this time.
Okay.
And he's like, that's also very suspicious that the Spider-Man guy makes an appearance and you are the photographer who gets the photos. There's a lot of shit going on. Peter befriends, I guess she's meant to be a love interest, Judy Jetson.
Somewhat.
Noah Tyler's
Judy.
daughter. And she's like, well, I love this new age guru. Let's go see him together.
Because that's who her father had gone to see. Or is that her uncle? I forget.
Yeah. It's her father. The father had gone to see her. And we also learned suspiciously so had these other people.
Yes.
The judge.
And
we skipped the judge.
Gurus were a thing back then because Peter makes fun of the guru. I don't know if you noticed that. He made a little.
I didn't.
He made a little joke, and Judy's like, "Hey, that's not right." And he's like, "Oh, sorry." This is a weird scene. He made fun.
I feel like. Oh, I didn't finish my thought before.
Oh, sorry.
Like, it's super comic booky plots.
Yes.
But they're never actual supervillains. It's like they feel like they're a little bit too embarrassed, even though they're doing shit. Like they're using mind control technology.
Yes. In
the other episode we watched, it's like image casting stuff. Like, why not make it the Kingpin? Why not make it Mysterio?
Yeah.
That's just embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
And they're also oddly 70s. Like, I feel like the Guru New Age spin is like a very 70s thing. The other episode we saw, it was like a ghost thing. That was also super 70s. Both of these movies have henchmen who inexplicably are martial artists. That's also super 70s.
Yes, yes.
This guy literally has a group of 3 samurai.
Why did he think he needed them?
I don't know. They're hilarious. Like, I was like, what?
I liked his chorus. Because we get to see his chorus where he tells the woman that a house in the country is a stupid dream.
Yeah, and Peter's like, he just insults you. Why do you like this? I was assuming like, this guy's a dick.
The one woman was like, I dream that maybe my cat could poop a 6-inch turd.
He's like, now that's a dream worth having.
Yes, that's what he said.
Fuck your financial security. Your dreams of children and a family in the forest. That's bullshit. We all want to wish for cat turds that are bigger than the span of our hands. And he holds his meaty paw. Yes. Like that.
Now go out in the world.
Go out in the world. Feed your cats.
And yes, and they go and they feed cats. And Judy drives a Ford Pinto. They drive home to feed cats. Do you know the Ford Pinto? You know why it's famous?
I mean, I know the Ford Pinto is famously the car that had the gas tank in the back, and when you lightly rear end, it would explode, killing everybody.
They would shove the shock absorbers into the gas tank. Yep. So she died soon after this because she was driving that car.
And they show it, and it's just like 10 minutes of her burning in the car.
Jesus.
dark.
I remember Pintos. I was around. Were you ever in one?
I think I know it from reading old comics.
Oh, come on.
Like comic strips making fun. I don't think I ever was in one.
My brother's friend had one, and I had to go with them someplace. And when we got into it, my brother, he said, I thought this smelled bad on the outside. I gotcha.
There was the line where Aunt May said something about me, remember to take your allergy medicine. And I didn't get what that was about.
We never know what he's allergic to. He's around Judy, and he's just sneezing on her.
Yeah, that was weird. That almost seemed like it was something that's going to pay off, and it never does.
She was like, that's not my thing, Peter. I like Dutch ovens. So Peter's still looking. Peter asked Judy, you got $46? Maybe I can borrow.
I wrote something about Aunt May, and I can't read it. Aunt May.
She didn't say much.
Did you face your... I don't know. Let's just cut to the end. There's so much shit that just happens.
Well, he calls Space Lab. I want to point out that's pretty easy. He knows Space Lab's number.
Okay.
Because that's how he discovers gamma rays are doing this. Oh, I mean microwaves.
No, not microwaves. Yeah. Which actually, I do want to say, good job of bringing in the brainy side of Peter as part of this.
Mm-hmm.
I like, because he does some of the work as Peter Parker and he figures stuff out and he figures out stuff as Spider-Man. Peter decides to go, he figures out in some way that Byron is responsible. He doesn't quite understand what's going on with the gamma. I mean, now you got me saying it.
The gamma rays, man.
The
gamma
rays. Yeah, but he does go and sees Byron, pretends to be very enthusiastic about his course now. And Byron gives him a little pin he puts on his comically hard, huge collar.
He brainwashes him.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like a weird trigger thing that happens later.
Well, he does. Yeah. Oh, you know what? He gives them a pin to brainwash him. But George, remember when I told our listeners, Aunt May lives in a big, nice mansion, nice hardwood floors, nice carved wood paneling all over the walls, and yet Peter, he lives in this junky attic. So guess what I made?
Well,
I made a list of reasons. Why would Peter live in that stupid attic in this nice house? There must have been like 3 extra bedrooms.
She's not his real kid. He doesn't love her. She doesn't love him.
Okay.
Yep. All right. What's your reasons?
Well, the first one. This attic, you've seen National Lampoon's Vacation, Christmas Vacation. You know the attic door where you pull a door down, a little ladder comes down?
Yes.
That's the kind of attic he lived in. You had to pull the little ladder down to get up there. So just so our listeners know.
Yes, and.
So Aunt May, she can't climb the little ladder that leads up to the attic, and thus she won't be able to find Peter's Playboy magazine that he's got hidden in the attic. Okay.
All right.
Number 2, he sleeps up there so he won't hear Aunt May's scream in her sleep. She's always having terrible nightmares, and that's because of the horrible way Uncle Ben died. You see, one night he fell while trying to climb up that little ladder into the attic so he could find that damn Playboy that he knew Peter had hidden up there. So that's how Uncle Ben died. And the third reason,
that's rough.
The third reason, Peter was also taking method acting classes. He was determined to get the part of Anne Frank in the Diary of Anne Frank that they were doing on the university.
You're going to fucking bring the specter of Anne Frank into this shit?
He would sit in the attic and write in his diary about the time Aunt May almost found his Playboy magazine that he had hidden in his bike shorts.
Goodness.
Or he'd write about the time he almost bought a Hustler magazine and he fainted in the store. So,
it's funny you mentioned Hustler because I actually feel like the bad guy, Mr. Byron, looked like Larry Flint.
Yeah, he did. Now you mentioned it.
Yeah, I actually was like, is that Larry Flint? I'm cutting to the end. There's too much shit to talk about.
Wait, let me check my notes. Can I check my notes?
All right. Yeah.
Spidey climbs the wall and tracks the signal, and he sneezes. He sneezes and why can't I talk? He sneezes and he breaks his tracker. That little tracker that you can buy. That I think I had, that plastic tracker when I was a kid. Whatever it was.
Wait, his tracker, or you mean his...
He was tracking the gamma rays back to Noah's place. And he sneezed and he dropped it, and he's like, damn it, I broke it. I broke my tracker.
I zoned out during that part.
That's what happened.
It could have, I believe it.
So that's when the 3 judo guys come out, who I don't know why he had 3 judo henchmen, and he fights them for a while.
For a very long time.
Which he should be able to defeat them.
He's, as he claimed before, he is thousands of times stronger than a person. I'm just going to posit, if I'm thousands of times, even, you know what? Even if I'm
100 times
3 times as strong as a person, I'm going to beat the fucking shit out of them. I don't have to build up a sweat.
No.
Because I'm a nerd, right? Mm-hmm. Like, well, I'm not even a nerd. This actually said spiders are actually like 40. They would be able to lift 40 times their own weight if they were as a person. Mm-hmm. So if you say an average fit person can lift their weight, Spider-Man is effectively 40 times stronger than a person. They should be smears.
He even webs them up and they escape.
The web up was awesome.
Because that was
better. He knocks them onto the ground and he does this thwip and they just throw a Halloween decoration on top of it. It's just the webby shit that you put out on your fence.
Yes, I know.
It just floats down. I'm like, yes.
And then the big stunt of the movie, he swings away because.
Yep, I think it's the only time he really swings.
Yep, and for
it's obviously like on a crane winging him around.
And there's a strange thing because Kingpin, as I want to call him, comes out, and I don't understand this line. He says, "This one's an original. He'll come back himself."
Yeah, I took that as. He actually said, this one's original. He'll come back by himself.
Yes, by himself.
I took it as he doesn't think he's working with the cops. He's like a vigilante working by himself.
Yes. All right. There.
So now can I cut to the end?
Barbera asked Peter about Spider-Man. Spider-Man. I'm like, just break in and smash that computer that Kingpin has. Oh, we
didn't say what the Kingpin's the guy we're going to call Kingpin, his big plan was.
This is the part.
He's announced to the city that there are 10 random citizens who he used, because by now it's known that he's using mind control to make people rob banks. And 10 random citizens are going to kill themselves. They don't even know who they are, unless the city gives, I think it's $2 million to a seaplane that's waiting in New York Harbor.
True.
And this is all on the front page
of
the
crazy
newspapers. Plot. It's insane because, of course, what happens is we see the plane just sitting out there, and Barbera goes up, and he's like, surprise, guys, city's out of money. And he arrests them, because of course he would.
Surprise, motherfuckers. And he just shoots them.
Motherfuckers. Shoots him in the throat. No, but he arrests the dudes, and watching on shore, Byron's like, damn it, now these deaths are on your head, Mayor.
Yeah.
And he hits this button that sends out you see like a little like TV antenna. I want to express how unimpressive this antenna is. It's like a normal antenna with like 4 medium-sized cable radar dishes on it.
It's the radar dish that you could buy back then from the Death Star, I think. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's like a Star Wars toy. It sends out this signal to the 10 citizens, and wouldn't you know who one of them citizens is?
Peter Parker.
Peter motherfucking Parker. We see this computer screen that's going like this bop, 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 noise. It was flashing. It was definitely giving people seizures.
It says destroy.
Judy Jetson's one of them. And so we see a guy like on just a bridge. He stops. He starts climbing up the side of the bridge to jump into the water.
Brooklyn.
We see a woman who's a blonde woman who's maybe on the GW bridge. I'm like, is that Gwen Stacy? Yeah. Probably not. She climbs up. Judy is... Where is she?
I forget.
She was at a New York landmark too. It wasn't like super famous.
She was... oh, man. She was going to stick her.
Subway. She was in the subway.
She's going to stick her hand in a kitty litter box and get
kitty litter box and pull it.
Toxoplasmosis. Yeah.
And then love cats even more. She was in a subway. It was actually cool to see New York subway in the 70s. Subway. And Peter, for some reason, gets the real one. The guy's like, you can jump off the Empire State Building.
Yep, they go to New York.
So we see some like vintage. He goes into the Empire State Building. Peter goes up the top. He's not in control of himself. All these people. There's supposed to be 10. We only see like 4 of them because they just don't have the budget to show the other 10. Yeah. And Peter starts climbing up over the metal grill that protects people from jumping off the Empire State Building.
Yep.
And through sheer
luck,
stupid luck, the thing scrapes off the button off his giant lapel. Yep. And he's like, oh, shit. So he quickly turns into Spider-Man, webs across town, because he could track him now. I don't know why he couldn't before.
Well, he knows where he is, right? Track.
Oh, I guess he knows where he lives. He sees the antenna.
Pulls it down.
Not impressive looking antenna.
He webs it,
pulls it down so it's completely attached, like rips it off the side of the building, and like sits there like just doing stuff. And then we cut to inside, and Byron, like the lights are going. He's going like, like getting zombified. And because I guess Peter is actually altering the antenna, even though the antenna's removed from the building, it shouldn't be doing anything.
He sent the message back.
Sends the message back, and we see the guy climbs down from the side of the bridge. The lady who's up on top of the GW bridge just smiles because she can't get down. She's just stuck. She lives there now. Judy decides, she pulls her hand out of the cat box, brushes the litter off the front of her sweater, and decides not to jump in the New York City subway. And then Peter goes inside the building where he knows he's going to find Byron, and he sees the 3 fucking samurai. And he's like, hey, I reversed the signal. We're buddies now, right?
And they're like, yeah.
And it's this low shot, and they all smile. They're like, oh, they all pat each other in the back. And he lets them through. And he goes into the room, and then we see this room with the flashing lights at the computer, because computers are magic, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And Byron's just sitting there like, duh. And Peter gets up. Well, he's Spider-Man.
He's drooling.
Spider-Man gets up close.
He's drooling.
Yeah, I think he is drooling.
He's got a Playboy magazine.
Sorry. He's got a Playboy. Maybe Peter. Wait.
Peter's like,
I think that wasn't drool.
Peter's like, let me just take this from you.
Peter's like, is that Miss November? And he opens it. He whistles like a pig, and he says, "Well, Mr. Byron, you've become a zombie like you did to other people. You need some help. Can I give you a suggestion? You should go to the police and turn yourself in to Captain Hanna-Barbera." Cut to a cab.
And cluck.
He's doing just that.
Cluck like a chicken, too.
Cluck like it. Also, you should shit every time you hear the word deflate. And so the Byron, a.k.a. the Kingpin, turns himself in.
By the way,
there's a press conference. Yeah?
Yeah, we don't need to go over it, but you missed a funny bit because Spider-Man did go back to Kingpin's headquarters. Judo guys came out again. He fought them again.
Oh, and I was going to mention this part.
And then he's like, I'm going to swing away. And for some reason, they have a flamethrower to burn up his web.
I was thinking about
and he falls and catches a gargoyle.
It's this weirdness. It's like they were so embarrassed to have supervillains.
Yes.
And it's like you need so you have a hero who has extra normal abilities. You need people to match them. So you have the guy with the mind control. Why not make him the Kingpin? Somebody who could match Spider-Man physically. Instead, they give him some fucking weird judo flamethrower guys.
Yeah, all they need is a gun.
And then the other episode we saw, it's the same shit where like these random henchmen are martial artists. It's like, why not just make the guy fucking Mysterio? Because he was clearly Mysterio. Yeah. And I don't know, he makes him fight a robot or something. It's so weird.
And he got up to the top of the Empire State Building. We forgot to mention this. He got up there so quick there was nobody in the way because the guard was like, he'd been taking those method acting classes. The guard is like, oh, Miss Anne Frank, go right on up. Go up to the attic of the Empire State Building.
This is wrong.
Yeah, I'm sticking to that character. It's
a terrible character. Terrible bit. I thought your previous obsession with Adolf Hitler was awful. I hate to see that it's now expressing itself this way. You are a bad person, Tim Hamilton.
I'll cut that out.
Wrapping up really quickly. So there was a press conference announcing the capture.
Because Barbera says, take these monkeys inside. I can't do his voice.
Yeah, it's called
take these monkeys inside.
Get these monkeys inside, which I guess he was referring to Uncle Leo.
Yes, Uncle Leo and the Kingpin.
And J. Jonah Jameson is there.
And a monkey.
And he's like, and there's a monkey, an actual ape.
This could have used a monkey.
J. Jonah Jameson's there, and who has really shown none of his trademark character's animosity towards Spider-Man. If anything, seemed mildly curious about him and confused about how many legs he should have.
Yeah, CT.
And despite the fact, the fact he's run photos of this guy that helped him sell papers, we said, he mentioned something to like, I heard you had some help, Captain Barbera. He's like, yeah, from Spider-Man. He goes, well, I hope he disappears and goes back to where he came from. We don't need his kind here.
You're not doing his voice.
And then they basically we don't need his kind here. Oh, I'm doing the wrong. I'm doing J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson was like, "Damn you, kid!" And he slaps Peter's ears. Damn you! I told you to deliver that medicine. And Peter's like, Mr. Gowan, Mr. Gowan,
you're boxing my ears. I don't know why we're doing this, but why not?
So it'll be a better episode.
Better episode.
Mr. Gowan is J. Jonah Jameson. He boxes Peter's ears every time the pictures are. What's that?
Boxes, and then Peter has enough and uses his strength thousands of times stronger, rips his arms off and throws them to the sun. Basically, J. Jonah Jameson and the cop agreed that they will report Spider-Man stories, but give the credit to the cop, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, it's very weird.
And then Peter's like, will I ever see you again? To Judy, she's like, probably not. I'm just a character from the pilot.
Yes.
And then it ends.
He's like, well, can I borrow $46? I really need those transistors.
He does actually. I forgot. He really did borrow the money for the transistors from
No,
him.
he never got. He's always asking people
never did?
for $46. He's like,
So,
Mr. Gowan, give me $46,
yeah,
please.
and the show ends with like, out the Uncle Ben level of reason why, like he was making money off of off of Spider-Man ostensibly to get $46. He never really quite gets, or no, he does. He gets hired by J. Jonah Jameson, so I guess he gets the money at some point. But he never learns his lesson about, how to be a hero.
No.
How with great power comes great responsibility. Like the literal core of Spider-Man. And I guess in the series going forward, he's just Spider-Man just because it helps his career.
Yeah. Terrible. It ends.
I gotta say,
it does end with him going home, and he's like, "Aunt May, did a girl call for me?" And she says, "No, Peter. I told that girl you were dead."
Because I wish you were like my husband. That's the way out my sound.
I guess we better do revenge. Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you. I'll get you.
Revenge.
Revenge. One of us will die. One of us will die.
I will not let Cindy take my place. I will have my revenge.
So most likely,
we both do this.
Secret question. I'm not.
We both do this.
All right.
Together.
Yeah, go.
I set it up for you, didn't I?
Most likely
to name their child.
Our group one to name their child Adolf Hitler.
I think.
Yeah, I know what you think, Tim.
Judy. Maybe Judy?
Judy Jetson? The love interest? Why?
Well, she was already into cults and gurus. She was looking for that perfect guru. And after this show, she went to South America, and she found the boys from Brazil, and and she married one of them, and they
which one?
Had a child. The boy number 4.
This is your producer, Miss Lee. Owing to the fact that Tim and George's story involved theories about Nazis living in South America, test tubes filled with holy water, and proof that giants with horned heads once roamed pre-Columbian America. The Smithsonian pulled this section of audio and brought it to their secret headquarters for preservation. While in transit, said audio accidentally burst into flames and was reportedly lost to history along with a bipedal lizard skeleton nailed to a cross and J. Edgar Hoover's private collection of 6-inch long mummified cat turds. We apologize for this disruption in the show.
So anyway, sorry, everybody. We had a great story. That was like the hilarious story about who would name their child Adolf Hitler, but
Tim,
I guess they can't.
I hate that sort of stuff, but like my ribs hurt from laughing so hard.
You pooped out a 6-inch pooper into the kitty litter box.
You shit out a series of candy cones of ice cream cones of startlingly size and colors.
Yes.
Like, I don't think in this show that we have dedicated to the art of yes and, I don't think we have ever yes anded so brilliantly, so funnily. Like, I felt like it was like two Robin Williams on cocaine swirling around each other like verbal dervishes. That's how good we were.
It was great. But
and the fucking Smithsonian.
We'll have to move on. Sorry, everybody.
I don't know. I guess this means that probably our
revenge
sequels will suck because we used up all our good humor.
Probably. You want to go first?
Yeah. Let me think.
You want me to go first so you can make up one about a man in a yellow hat that gets a monkey?
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'll go. I'm ready.
Yeah, you go first. You go first. Go ready. Go.
So the delivery man that was named Hunky Crabtree, the delivery man who wanted to give transistors to Peter, but he got scared because they were doing all that radiation stuff. So he did get zapped by radiation.
Oh, shit.
And he also had those transistors in his delivery warehouse for a month because Peter never got that $46 he needed to pick them up. But Crabtree, he needed that $46 to take his lady friend out to dinner. And his lady friend?
Who was his lady friend, Jim?
She was, in fact, a certain May Parker.
No!
Yes. With that $46 in 1977, he was going to take May out to a big fancy meal at Peter Luger's. buy like 4 steaks. That was one of his talents. He could eat 3 steaks. He knew Aunt May could only eat 1 steak.
Oh, I was wondering what the 4th steak was for.
But
It'd be kind of a dick move if you just bought 3 steaks, ate them all. I was like, what are you going to do?
But he didn't have that money. So being in love with lovely May Parker, he robbed a store. And he got away because the cop on the beat was old. And in fact, Peter Parker was there. But Peter was like, I'm practicing my method acting to play Helen Keller in the Forest Hills production of The Miracle Worker. I can't see any guys running off with money. So, the bad guy got away. I should have done his voice, shouldn't I?
Yeah, do it.
No. So Crabtree took Aunt May to dinner with this stolen money. And even though they were old, May told Crabtree that she really liked the way he scarfed down a steak, and she wanted to get married and have a child of their own.
Wow, and Aunt May, easily in her 60s in this.
Well, she knew Peter was a scientist. That's why she kept him in the attic. He's going to do some...
and she knew his experience from our humorous bit that we riffed.
Artificial insemination.
Artificial insemination, yeah. God, that was funny.
So Crabtree had to sadly tell her that the radiation he was exposed to at the university that day, when he was hanging out with these 2 jerky kids, it had destroyed what was left of his sperm count. Couldn't give Aunt May what she wanted.
Oh, no.
Aunt May told him she was very sorry.
Wait.
But,
question.
Yes.
Did he try first? Did he give her a Rodgerin?
No, he would sell it for money, and like after he'd gone to that university.
No, but I'm saying before he admits that his sperm is it was.
He was like, "This is no good. We can't pay you for this."
Tim,
he was shooting dust.
Did they have sex though? Did he?
I don't know. I don't want to get into that.
No, tell me about it.
It's old people.
Yeah, old people sex, the best kind.
But Aunt May, she said she was very sorry, but she really wanted a kid, so she had to hit the personal ads again, looking for that special guy. She was upset because in the paper it did say a man who's handsome with a high sperm count wanted.
Oh, that guy fucking lied about both counts.
Must be able also to climb a little ladder into the attic to find my nephew's Playboy magazine.
So much Playboys.
So late. Later, Crabtree sat sad and lonely in his 1-room apartment above the illegal cockfighting arena, and he wanted to get revenge on those snotty kids who irradiated his groins. His groin. Only one groin.
His groins.
Didn't have 2 groins.
His groins.
In his anger, he suddenly smashed a table in half with his mind, and he realized that the radiation killed his sperm, but it also opened an electronic gate in his mind that allowed him to zap tables in half, and maybe people too.
But that's it.
Yeah, just tables.
Just tables in half?
Because now he was Mr. Transistor. That was his supervillain name.
I hate it.
He went to the university to get revenge on those kids and make them give him his $46, but only Peter's friend we saw once was there. And
Dave.
Yeah. Mr. Transistor was going to zap him in half if he didn't give him his $46. But Peter showed up. Yeah, Peter showed up as Spider-Man. And they had a fight in which Mr. Transistor smashed tables in half. He was jealous that Spider-Man could shoot all this fluid out of his arms, and
Who wouldn't be?
Yeah. So Spider-Man beats him and takes him to the police and gets lots of pictures of him fighting Mr. Transistor. And the headline says, "Supervillain with low sperm count captured by hero who shoots lots of ropes." So...
Oh, no. That was such a long walk for that line.
So, this episode is called $46 Buys a Lot of Playboy.
Yeah, back then especially. Wow, Tim. That was great.
Not as good as our others.
No, I mean, nothing will ever match the bit that the Smithsonian claimed from us.
Yes.
And their double agent producer, Miss Lee. So my revenge sequel that I'm going to craft to Spider-Man is it actually has a similar departure point for yours. What was his name? Hugo Crabtree, the delivery man who's afraid of the radiation. I'm not going to talk about that guy. I'm going to talk about the guy who I've been jokingly referring to as Steve Rogers, his friend. We decided his name was Dave, but maybe that's not his name. We don't know a lot about this character. We know he's a scientist like Peter himself. He's apparently one of Spider-Man's best friends. Good-looking, athletic, blonde guy. Has a lot of the same interests. And he's not, unlike most of the people in this movie, he's not startlingly stupid.
No, I guess not.
So Peter hits the, this photo of Peter posing with 3 samurai hits the hits the newspapers. And he's just looking at it. He's just kind of like, it's pretty weird how my buddy, my lab partner, has suddenly just been taking all these photos of this spider person.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one day he was just working here with me in the lab, looking for $46, wanted to borrow $30 from me. We didn't mention that part. So apparently he had $16 of his own. But now, multiple days in a row, he's this alleged spider person. And he kind of just looks around the lab and he's just, a thought's beginning to form, right? Yeah. And he notices that there's certain elements that had been cannibalized from their long-going experiments. Oh, yeah. Like these kind of like wrist guards, this kind of this button that you would depress. He sees that there's been some drawings that look like maybe these were fashioned into some sort of web shooter. He notices there's a great... Yeah.
Does he find a drawing of a costume that looks like a spider? Like different ones?
A drawing of well, Tim, not only does he find this drawing, do you want to know where it was? It was in a fucking Playboy. He opens up the Playboy to look at the centerfold, Miss October, and drawn, like it just falls out. Drawn in there is like a picture of this little person in a spider costume. Weirdly, he has 8 legs. Exposed genitalia. Luckily, that didn't make him a finished costume. But he's like, He notices that they had this viscous fluid that they were radiating that seems to also be missing. He's like,
The Playboy magazine, the pages are stuck together. It's like,
The pages are stuck together, yes. And he's like, I hope that's web fluid. And he starts looking at that photo, and he's like, if you were to take Peter, remove his giant collar, and squash down his 70s tastic hair, I bet he'd look a lot like that person in that weird spider suit. He's like, And he decides something's afoot. So he takes some of that viscous fluid he finds that they had been working on. It's web fluid. And he irradiates it. And and instead of being like this kind of like white Halloween stuff, it becomes black.
I saw this coming.
Yeah. And he's looking at it, and it crawls like the blob over him. And this guy becomes Venom, Spider-Man's foe. And it turns out his name isn't Dave, it's Eddie Brock. And they get in a big fight, and it's wicked cool, and he's got a big white chest on him, and he's got sharp teeth, and he says stuff about eating his brains, but then Spider-Man tricks him into going into a bell, and I guess the sound makes him dissolve. Yep.
That's it?
That's the end.
Cool.
Yeah.
Goes into a bell.
Is that how Venom gets defeated? They go to a church.
I know, I remember.
I like the way.
Not Graham.
I like
not Graham,
my truncated version.
Not Graham Bell.
He goes into a bell. Wait, scratch it. He goes into a bell, but Tim, it's not a fucking church bell. It's a Taco Bell.
Oh, it's a Taco Bell.
And the two of them, Venom and Spider-Man, have a chalupa eating contest. Now, you may be like, George, this is 1978. The chalupa wasn't invented yet. And I say, yeah, in our universe, but in the fucking Marvel universe it was. Spider-Man eats 46 chalupas. Fucking Venom eats 47.
And I know how this contest ends, right?
Well, he claims victory, but then suddenly he feels a rumbling in his tumbly. Yeah. Guess.
How
Tim,
long is...
Guess how long this turd that Venom made was.
Well, it was 27 feet long, but I mean, they reported it was 26 feet long because J. Jonah Jameson was the editor, and he doesn't think the number 14 exists, so he always gets these numbers wrong. So he actually got it
weird.
wrong.
J. Jonah Jameson's really confused when he goes in high-rise buildings, too, and they already skipped 413. He's like, I don't know what's going on. You're wrong, Tim, because they ate Taco Bell. There was no viscosity to the shit at all. It was just pure brown water in chunks. Yeah. And it filled his suit, his living suit, and he drowned in it. And that's the end.
That is the end.
That is the end.
Because we've talked for an hour. 27 minutes.
All right.
Hey, send us an email. SETIBIMCO with the E at gmail.com.
Did we get mail?
And like us.
E's
and
at the end, everybody.
Us. Well, we got no mail. Follow us. Like us. We are everywhere you can find podcast. And all this month, we're going to talk about Spider-Man episodes. And I can't believe we talked this long about an hour show. What's next week? What's next week? Yeah, George.
Yeah, what is next week? Because the first episode, so this was the pilot of the Spider-Man show, and I assume we're going in order.
Okay.
Now, my question for you, Tim, is episode 1, which is the next one, and episode 2 are a two-parter.
You choose.
Should we watch it all at once?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be watching, it's called The Deadly Dust Part 1 and The Deadly Dust Part 2 of The Amazing Spider-Man, the 1978 series, available on YouTube in all its glory.
We're done. Follow us, like us, give us ratings. Why couldn't I do Joe Jonah Jameson? I could not do the voice.
Because he didn't have a distinctive voice.
Just any grumbly voice, though.
Are you trying to do like a classic J. Jonah Jameson? It's like, you got to start off with
J. Jonah Jameson.
Parker!
Jameson, see?
Parker, who led me to this chair? That's a J. Jonah Jameson. The guy in this show was more like, I don't know, Peter, should we do that?
All right.
I'm not. He wasn't a J. Jonah. I don't know what I'm doing.
Next week.
Next
Deadly
week,
Dust.
The Deadly Dust.
We're done. We got to say goodbye.
All right, bye, everybody.
Let's go out on that note. Let's go on a high note.
That was a high note.
Bye.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
Actually,
So
I just want to tell listeners, we did gloss over a lot of what happened. In this. There was so many scenes of Peter or Spider-Man. I feel like he had like 3 fucking fights against those fucking sounds.
yes.
Oh, the most important part. Okay, wait. At the end, Peter once again goes to his friends, because they're friends now, the samurais, because he reversed it. And the photos he's trying to sell to J. Jonah Jameson it's a group of photos of the 3 samurai posing with Spider-Man.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking,
He's posing with the enemy.
No, but this is what happens, right? So there's these 3 samurai who are the enemy, or maybe not now. He sells these photos to J. Jonah Jameson, runs them in the paper. The 3 samurai see them the next day. They're like, that's funny. Look at this.
Yeah.
We took that photo with Spider-Man, who sent his camera on automatic picture, and they took a photo of us. If you look here, it says the photographer is Peter Parker.
Yeah. Huh?
You think Spider-Man is Peter Parker? Like, his secret identity is already shot.
It is.
Dumb asshole.
But luckily for them, it was the 70s, and people didn't listen to anything minorities said.
Oh, we didn't mention, yes, they were of Asian descent.
They were of Asian descent.
Yeah.
Should
we mention the nationality of every person? Let's do it. Robbie Robertson was black.
And the rest were white.
Peter Parker was a white guy. J. Jonah Jameson was
Jewish.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
Was there any Jews in this?
I
bet
don't
you there
know.
weren't. Bet you there weren't.
Jews in Hollywood?
So you bring up
Jews in Hollywood? Come on.
Tim, together with your Anne Frank comments, this is not good.
No, I'm
All right,
being
so-
ironic. There's lots of Jews in
Roll the
Hollywood.
music. All right.